My name is Ákos Deliága. I'm one of the co-founders and managing director of Talkabout, that is a leading enterprise chatbot provider in the Central and Eastern European market. We also have a product called CAGQ, that focuses on internal communication for industrial companies. So I'm going to use the close to 5 years experience of my entrepreneurial background to focus on the challenges and the learnings that I came across along the way. The first section is about the very beginning of the company, the ideation phase when you are building your product. But even before you could do that, you need a team. And the team, based on the TED Talk by Bill Gross, is the second most important element in the success for your company. For a long time, the quality of the founding team will be the biggest asset of your company. So you need co-founders. There are certain companies with a single co-founder, and I never really understood how that's possible. I always work in a team because I think it's really rare to find all the required qualities in a single person. The literature says that in a founding team you need at least a hipster, a hacker, and a hustler to make it work. The hipster has the innovation mind, he has the vision for the product. The hacker can actually materialize this product and code it if it's a technology company, and the hustler is the one who's bringing it to the market, who can sell it. You need all these three qualities in order to make a founding team. In our case, in case of Talkabout, we have 4 co-founders. I'm the one who's responsible for business development, so I'm practically running ahead. I'm the hustler in the company. I felt I need somebody on the business side who's more pragmatic, who's more down to earth, and who can create a solid structure for the company on a business level. On the technical side, I was looking for the hacker who can create the good quality code, who can run the operations smoothly on the technological side. But I also wanted somebody who's focusing on the innovation aspect of the product. That is how we put together our team. So what are the challenges regarding this? First, you need to find these people. As I said, these members of your team will become the most critical asset of the company for a long time. So finding people who have these qualities, who can grow with the company and can also accept hardship and probably low payment for years is really tough. The second challenge is resolving stressful situations or creating the decision-making process in the company. There will be stress along the way. They say that stressful situations come when you don't have enough money in the company and when you have a lot of money. So either way, whether you're successful or not, you will have a lot of stress among the co-founders. So you have to establish, even before these stressful moments come, the decision-making process on how you do that. In our case, we agreed that everybody has equal shares. So if 3 of us agree on something, the 4th one has to follow. This was very useful when we really had these moments of need. The third situation is thinking about the long term, the marathon. Building a startup is not a sprint, but you have to really think about years, probably 5 years or even a decade ahead. People will change, life situations will change. Some people will build a family, others may fall sick or want to travel or just need a pause from the company. You have to think about ways on exiting the firm peacefully, about selling your shares, about making sure that you are not pulling back your own company, but letting it grow even if it outgrows you or one of your team members. Creating these ground rules at the very beginning, when you don't have a product, when you don't have revenues, is the best moment. Section 2 is about the seed stage, when you try to validate your product's market fit. By this time, you have a working founding team who is probably doing everything in the company. You're doing sales, account management, project management, you're even the receptionist of your own company. So you need to hire certain people to run the operative tasks in the company. These will probably come in the form of junior people, probably guys whose very first job is at your startup. You need to focus on finding the right talents that can grow with the company. And in order to do that, you need to articulate your company's vision. You need to prove that you are a founder with a vision, with a product who's worth to follow. So you're not only selling the product to the market, but you're also selling yourself and your company to talented employees. So this is the first tip that I'd like to give to you, is that you need to focus on the company's development and finding the right talented people while you are trying to sell your product on the market. You also need to find a balance, a mix of junior people, mature people, and maybe a few people who have lots of years of experience. Because if you have too many junior people, you will have a lot of time to manage these people. That means you cannot grow the company, you cannot focus outwards, because you need to mentor these people and you need to manage them. In order to do that, as you delegate the processes, you need to make sure that all these processes are properly documented, they have a quality control over them, and you can somehow make all these processes repeatable. The more junk you leave in your background, the more it will accumulate. Let it be technical debt that needs complete rewriting later on, or even worse, you may have customers that are unhappy with your product, you have cancellations, and then your credit is just ruined on the market, which is probably the end of your company. So whatever you delegate, make sure it is well documented and is repeatable, even if the junior people leave the company and you have to hire new ones. The third tip that I'd like to give you is to hire external consultants early on. We had HR consultants who helped us in filtering employees, checking their fit for the position, but also checking the cultural fit to our existing team. We also spent at least one full day every half year among the co-founders to look at our organization, look at our processes, and try to think about the roles and responsibilities and how we divide them. As I said, just a few months before, maybe everybody was doing everything, and you start to grow and you have dozens of people in the company. You have to be really clear about the organization, the roles and responsibilities, and how you divide them. This creates also efficiency that gives you margins, profits that you can use to further grow your company. So it is quite important. The third stage is about the growth. It is the time when you start to have 30 people in the company, or maybe 50, depending on your structure, but you don't know them all. You cannot do everything among the co-founders, so you need to fill in certain gaps. For example, probably you need a professional CFO in the company to manage the finances and reporting, especially if you're going for venture capital funding and you need to give the numbers to the investors. You have to identify these certain skill sets and hire senior or at least middle-level position people to fill in these gaps. You will need a full second-level management below the co-founders, and in order to do that, most of the companies try to nurture their internal team and promote them from junior positions to even management level positions. This is quite risky because you may end up picking your best coder into an architect. But this is quite risky because these people may not have the required management skills. So again, I advise you to hire an external consultant, look at the organizational structure and draw it from scratch. In order to prepare your company for growth, you need to understand who are the divisions, the profit centers, and what are the certain supporting functions that need to work together with the profit centers. By this way, you will have clear boxes of roles and responsibilities, and you will need to find the right people to fill the right positions. A problem that I see oftentimes is that you have people who grew with your company, who started with your company, and you try to promote them into positions. You are picking people or you are drawing positions for certain people, and you have not designed the positions, and then you're finding the right people in the right position. This is a big risk that I would advise you to try to avoid. So make sure you have the right organizational structure, have the right roles, and pick the best people in the best positions. The next issue is, again, among the co-founders. By this time, you are working probably for years, the company grew a lot, and the positions changed. So you have to ask yourself, am I the best person in that specific position? Should I find a professional manager to do my job and maybe pull back to a strategic position? Or should I stay as a senior developer in the company responsible for the quality of a key aspect of the product? Or do I have to be the CTO necessarily responsible for a strategic level? I think everybody has to be critical to himself or herself and ask these questions at least every half year. This is a really tough job, and again, external consultants, self-reflection is a very critical position at these times, because you can be the biggest hurdle for the growth of your own company. Please try to avoid that. I'd like to give you a little task, an activity that we also did during our organizational development workshop. You take your founding team or your management team or whoever it is in your case, and ask them to draw your organizational structure, your current organizational structure individually. We had a lot of laugh during this exercise because me as the CEO of the company communicated the organizational structure multiple times. We had slides on it, we announced to everybody, but even among the closest circle of the company, we had 4 completely different organizational charts at the end. So on one side, it's a fun activity. On the other side, it will be interesting to see how people understand your structure and the roles and responsibilities in the team. The second stage of this activity is to take your common organizational structure, look at the key roles and responsibilities, and start to fill up the cells with the real names. In our case at Talkabout, we had certain co-founders who were put in a single cell, so they had a single role in the company, while other co-founders had to act in 5 or even 6 different positions. This is a great exercise to see who's adding what value to the company, but also to see what are the key roles or key competencies that you need to hire in the firm. When you look at your HR planning and your hiring planning, this will give you a clear path on what are the roles that you have to hire next. Building a startup is not really for everybody. You're sitting on a roller coaster, you may experience the highs and the lows even at the same day. So you have to make sure that all along the way you feel motivated and you feel happy about it. You will have a lot of stress, but if you don't feel fulfilled and if you don't enjoy the ride on your roller coaster, you should just stop and maybe go as an employee and have a calm life. But if you're an entrepreneur, you have to enjoy this ride. Also, because you are devoting years of your life and a lot of your energy in solving a problem. So the other advice is to pick the problem very carefully. You are not only picking the problem, but you're giving a solution for it. So my advice is to pick a problem that actually is a real problem for the society and try to solve it. In other words, if we were in a beauty pageant, make the world a better place.